Hey, folks, it's Mayor Chris Martin, and we are here with our first ever podcast. We're going to start this monthly. Today is August 5th, 2024. And so let's get started and jump right into it. This is the Logansport Re-Imagined Podcast.
And I'm Michelle Dials for Logansport Re-Imagined.
And I'm Bryce Howard. I'm the intern with the city of Logansport.
Very good. Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
So let's talk a little bit about how this podcast came to be.
Sure. So we want, in our administration, we wanted to really focus on more of a transparency within our administration. And so one of the things that we thought about was not everybody reads the newspaper or gets the newspaper. Not everybody's on social media. Not to mention there's a ton of different social media platforms. So this kind of narrows it down a little more for people to be able to find ways to be able to communicate with the city and know what Logansport Reimagined is and what they do.
So do you want me to talk a little bit about the history of Logansport Reimagined?
That would be great. Thank you.
So Logansport Reimagined was the capstone project that was developed when Logansport was selected to participate in the Hometown Collaboration Initiative, which was a program that was offered through the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, which we know as OCRA, and Ball State and Purdue. And that was around 2017, 2018. And throughout that process, we connected with dozens of community members, and they shared input. And one of the things that they really expressed was that they felt like we as a community we didn't have processes in place to tell our story of Logansport as a whole. So that's what we've been working on. And since then, there's even more going on now than there was back in 2018. So we've been really working on finding new ways to help people find out more about the community, but also to reimagine their own perspectives of our little city.
That's awesome. A diverse little city.
Our diverse little city. So that is something that you will hear us say about Logansport is our diverse little city. So your administration came in as we were finishing up the Hometown Collaboration Initiative, and we've been working on getting those processes in place to better communicate with people. But let's talk about, as we head into almost the second year now of your second term as mayor, let's talk a little bit about your background and how you got here.
Sure. So I only wanted to be mayor of Logansport, not mayor of any other town, not mayor of any other city, and I definitely don't want to continue in politics, right? So that was my goal when I was 15 years old. I had joined a mayoral campaign here in Logansport and kind of got the political bug, if you will. I've been working since I was 16 years old, and so knowing that that was my passion in every job that I was in, one of the things that I really wanted to do is make sure that I was more of a people person and, knew how to conversate and do those kinds of things. And so that's kind of what helped me lead to this job, if you will. I will tell you, I was born to a 15-year-old mother and a 14-year-old father. And so it wasn't a normal childhood, if you will. My grandparents have been a huge influence in my life, as you can imagine. And my mother and my father raised me very well. So it makes a difference. I think that's something that a lot of people don't know about me is growing up that, you didn't have the silver spoon in your mouth. The family wasn't wealthy. My family has a background of a lot of down-to-earth jobs, right? So my mom has been a CNA for 25 years. My grandma and my dad have retired from factories, and my grandpa retired as a union construction worker. So very blue collar, very down to earth when it comes to that. And I think that helps being in this position, knowing that, what they went through and the struggles that they had to go through, living paycheck to paycheck from time, those kinds of things. It helps you as a mayor be able to understand the struggles in everyday life, and it helps you know what you need to do in this position. And so, I've been to college. I've got my bachelor's in business administration. I'm I'm looking forward to the next step after mayor, whenever that may be. And I want to go into the sports industry world, and so I'm looking at getting my master's degree in sports management. So really, it's just I just really want people to know and understand that I wasn't raised by a wealthy family. I wasn't raised, with a silver spoon. I have worked my whole life, those kinds of things. And it just wasn't he's the youngest elected mayor in the history of Logansport. Let's just continue to elect him. You have to do the job. And so it's been nice to see that. We actually just had a meeting just recently before we came over here with a big announcement, hopefully by the end of the year. And so things are just really moving along really quickly. And I think, again, that it does have to do a lot with my background and my family, and knowing that, in order to make things happen, you have to understand the people in your community. And of course, the diversity in Logansport is huge.
And I'm the voice off camera today, which people are probably used to, because you and I actually met back when you were around 15. We were both working at the radio station.
Yes.
I was doing news, and you were doing your show.
Yes. So I actually had my own radio show when I was in high school. It was Country Request Live with Chris the Madman Martin on Hoosier Country 103.7. And so that kind of helped with the political scene as well, because obviously I'm on the radio. People are hearing the name. They're not really seeing the face, but they hear the voice and they understand the name and things like that. So that did help with that. But I did the news and the weather. And I remember, coming from school, riding my bike to the radio station to record weather, every day. And so, yeah, that was a fun time for sure.
So had there been an internship opportunity in the mayor's office at that point, would you have done that?
Absolutely. I absolutely would have done that. And that's why it's important for the youth to get engaged and involved, because Bryce this summer, and I'll let him talk about his summer internship, but him being this summer with us, I think it puts a whole new perspective on the youth engagement and being involved, because he's able to see a lot of the process that most people don't see, and I had a mayor one time tell me that, look, Chris, you are in a very rare position that most of the people in the world would never experience. And so you have to understand that, people are going to get frustrated. They're not going to understand why you're doing some of the things you do, but just remember, at the end of the day, they're not going to know what you go through unless they're in that seat. So I'm going to let Bryce talk about this summer.
I'm Bryce. I'm going into my second year at university at the University of Indianapolis. I'm studying political science, and this summer's just been a great opportunity. Coming into this summer, I was very, very unaware of all the moving parts that go into a local government. And this summer, just seeing all these great things happening and how they all form together has just been awesome. And I think it's really important for my generation to step up to the plate and do these internships while you're young and become aware of how all these moving parts come together and see what it's like to be a part of a city government and just get to experience all that. And it's been awesome. This summer, I've been able to attend many, many, many important meetings that I never thought I'd be able to attend with the mayor, and just kind of just watch those play out. And it's been awesome, and getting to see all the pieces that are going into all the projects behind the scenes and all the great things happening. And it's been awesome. And this summer, I actually have told the mayor several times, when I was a kid growing up, I always wanted to get out of Logansport. I wasn't proud of Logansport because it was dying. And as I've grown up and seen all these new things coming to Logansport, and Logansport's rapidly growing, I've told the mayor, and I'm proud to say it, I want to live the rest of my life in Logansport potentially and have a family in Logansport, because Logansport is just awesome, and it's rapidly growing, and it's really awesome to see.
So what are some of the things that you guys would like to see happen in Logansport over the next few years?
I'll let Bryce start with that one.
You're putting me on the spot here. So we recently the city recently just announced the mall project. So continuing to see that all come together and all those businesses open up and see what else is brought to the city because of that. Because I think there's a lot of room for economic development. Also, more housing. I know there's a lot of projects that are in the work for housing, and seeing that come to fruition and be brought to the community, I think it's just going to bring more people here, more business, Would love to see more business on the west side, south side, north side. And I think right now the east end's starting to fill up, and that's just going to, with all the housing that's coming to the town or to the city, that's just going to push new business to the other parts of town, and Logansport's just going to keep growing.
So he has paid attention this summer, so that's good. That's
Absolutely. And that's great to hear that you want to come back to Logansport and that your perspective has changed. One of the things that we talk about is what jobs are here for people to come back to. And so I'm curious to know, what do you see yourself doing when you come back?
So right now I'm studying political science, and my dream right now is after I finish my undergrad, I want to go to law school and eventually become an attorney. And what that looks like in Logansport, I'm not sure, whether I start my own law office or try to work at a different law office and work my way up. But eventually I want to be an attorney. But I've also, this summer, have just started to even think about maybe one day being a legislator, or who knows, maybe a mayor one day or something like that. And because I like the thought of being able to give back to the community and work for the people and everything in that aspect.
Very cool.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Mayor, what about you?
So I feel like we've accomplished so much, and the thing is that, you know, when you run for office, one of the most important things that you should focus on is what are you going to do, or what have you done, and instead of focusing on the other person that you're competing against, the people want to hear what you're going to do. And so we, in our first term, in our first 4 years, accomplished the majority of the things that we said we were going to do. And then this year, with the mall announcements, with Ollie's and Marshalls and Five Below, I mean, that's huge. McAllister's, and you got Popeyes coming in. You've got Jimmy John's and Dunkin' and a new car wash. And so all of these things are coming into play. And so that then checks off more from the list of what people want. So now our focus as an administration is to take away this thought process that Logansport has had for decades and centuries, if you will, that we are a manufacturing community and only a manufacturing community. I think that we do need to put more focus on our rivers. We are one very rare community to have two rivers that meet in our city, and so it's extremely important to be able to tie that into things. And so that's exactly what we're doing. We're working on the Riverfront District right now around Riverside Park. We've got the new event center that is opening. So it's just those things happening along the river are huge. And so then my focus as a mayor is to try to tie in something else that brings people here. And so my focus is not about people necessarily living here, not necessarily working here, but instead being here. And, we want people in our city and our community to visit, to recognize the pride that a lot of our citizens have in our community, and then go home. So we've got hotels that are more and more that we're seeing break ground. That's because we have that tie in with our community that people are going to be visiting a lot more. So one thing that I'm focused on now is more of a sports entertainment section of our community. And so, I want to start with basketball. Earlier this year we had the Lebanon Leprechauns playing here in the Berry Bowl, which was huge news. And so it was nice to see, but it also opened up that idea of, okay, if this works now, what if we had our own? So those are things that we're working on as far as that. We also have semi-pro football that's an option, looking into, baseball. And so it's really creating this new environment and this new idea for Logansport to be excited about and to take pride in their community. It's, Bryce, moving here would be awesome, right? But what is going to tie him here? He's going to want to be able to raise a family in a community that does have a focus on things that are entertainment wise. You want to be able to get off work and go do something and enjoy something. And that's another reason why we've increased our quality of life initiatives, and we've made sure that our parks are in better conditions. I mean, we've gotten new equipment, all of these things happening. But I think the other thing is, and it's a huge part when you look at a housing study, is our school corporation. And I tell Michelle all the time that,
Michelle Starkey.
Michelle Starkey, yes. Michelle Starkey, I tell her all the time, let's increase, bragging about our schools, because we have some of the best schools in the state of Indiana. And we really should be tying that more and more in to what the administration does. And it has got to be one of the best partnerships that I have ever seen in my life is with Michelle Starkey and the school corporation in the city of Logansport and our administration. I mean, it's huge. And we've made so many great strides together. We've worked together. When she needs something, I'm there. When I need something, she's there. It's just, there's never hesitation. It's always absolutely, let's go. And that's the personality that we're starting to see, I think, with a lot of different organizations in Logansport. It's taken us 4 years, but I think we're finally there where everyone kind of is on the same page of excitement. Like, man, things really can happen. Whereas before it's like, we're just Logansport, we're this little community. That's not true. It's not true that you don't have what other people can have, and so, the trips in my first 4 years to these different cities were to South Bend. They were to Indianapolis, and, seeing these communities and what they had was important because now you can size that down to where it will fit in Logansport. It's not necessarily, hey, they've got this huge thing in Fort Wayne, let's bring that to Logansport. It's, okay, how do I make this work in Logansport? And so changing that mindset of a lot of people, and it starts at the top. You have to start at the top with that mentality, because if your mayor is not positive about the community and doesn't have those aspirations and thinking outside the box, the rest of the people aren't going to follow. So, I think that's really important to have.
And when we were part of the Hometown Collaboration Initiative, placemaking was the big buzzword at that time. And again, that was back 2017, 18-ish. And you've really focused on that with your travel to other communities and seeing what kind of things they're doing and what kind of things could come here.
Absolutely. I think Aaron Shaver gets annoyed with me sometimes because I will go on vacation, even if I just go out of town on a weekend. She's always getting pictures. What do you think of this idea? What do you think of this idea? And now I'm starting to include you in that too. So it's just, but that's where the excitement lies, wow, the mayor is messaging us about these great ideas. Let's work on seeing how this fits in Logansport. And it does. It takes more than just one person. I always say we work better when we work together. And it's so true. I just told John Michael Price that about the Security Federal Block Party that they just had. It was huge. It was great, and it's because we're all working together now, and we have that positive atmosphere within our businesses and our organizations with this administration. And Bryce and I, we went up to Elkhart and participated in the mayor's go-kart race Friday, and him and I on the way back, we're just excited because we think that would be awesome to have in Logansport, and, racing go-karts in the street, for a weekend. Let's kick off the great festival that we have with Tyson, and kick it off with a go-kart race, right? So those are ideas that we get, and then we come back to town and quickly have to go eat tacos for taco eating contests. So it's fun.
So what are some of the things that are coming up in the near future that you would like people to know about?
Well, we are working on a basketball team, for sure. We are working on the sports entertainment side, but the things that I think the community really wants to see is happening. And so we are already in discussions again with more retailers, with more restaurants. We have 2 more hotels that are ready to break ground. So those are big things that we're seeing right now. I think that the other thing that we're really going to be focusing on over the next 2 years at least is going to be infrastructure improvements, especially our roads. We have a great program here in the state of Indiana with the community crossings, and so we are going to utilize that, I think, a lot more. They actually just increased it from $1 million to $1.5 million, so that helps. And so, with the recent projects that are going on with Logansport Utilities, it's given us an opportunity now, even though it's horrible right now, it is for good. But it also gives us an opportunity to now go in, look at every street that we have in the city of Logansport and say, okay, this needed to be paved before the project even started. Why wasn't it? Now let's do it, And so that's something that we're going to be focused on a lot over the next 2 years is infrastructure improvements.
And so that's awesome news that the program has been increased. But when you think about that amount of money, I think it's hard for people to understand or picture sometimes what $1 million of street paving looks like. It seems like it would be a whole lot, but it's not.
It's not. No. You look at some of the streets that we have that are very long stretches of streets. I mean, that's part of the reason that we road dieted Erie Avenue is because of the cost it would have taken, to be able to just pave it. I mean, not add sidewalks or beautify it like we have. It would have been way over $2 million just to pave that road. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much money it takes to pave. And, since 2020, everything's been going up. And so it only makes it even more challenging for a local government, especially our size, because we don't have the tax base of a Carmel or a Kokomo or a Lafayette, but we make it work. We are making it work. And I think that a lot of our local citizens are used to a lot of other things that maybe weren't what they are now. And so that's also kind of why we wanted to do this podcast, was to also explain, hey, this is what you see, but this is what we're working on. And just to give them an idea of the background of what's happening behind the scenes.
You mentioned a whole lot of things early on in the podcast that are coming soon, but defining what coming soon is often difficult. And
yes.
Has your perspective changed on that from the time that you were back in high school wanting to be mayor to today?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, even 5 years, in, I can honestly say I still get frustrated with the timelines, and you understand that. Now Bryce gets to understand that as well. But when you're actually in government, you understand it a lot more. And so, like, for example, if we started a deal today with let's say a local or a retailer or a restaurant or whatever it may be, you're probably not going to see the finished product for another 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years, especially if they have to build brand new. And so that's why, when we announced Jimmy John's and Dunkin', it was done. It was a done deal. It was signed. The ink was dry, but they still had to go through the permitting process. And it's not just with the city and the county, it's also with the state of Indiana. And there's costs associated with that. And sometimes businesses don't understand that or don't understand how the process works. And so we try to help them through that process. And that's why you see so many of these delays. It's not really our local government's fault. In a way, we're not the ones delaying it, but the state has so much to do, so it may take them a little longer than it does with us. We could get things done in 2 weeks, through our permitting process, but that's because we're not the state. We don't have all these other cities and counties to worry about. And so it's been a huge learning curve because it's like, great, we're done. No, we're not. We still got another 6 months. So, yes, absolutely.
So speaking of time, we know that everybody's time is valuable and we want to pack as much as we can into the segment that we have here. Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you would like to talk about before we wrap up today?
Yeah, just patience. I would really appreciate it if the citizens just had a little more patience with us. We do only have one code enforcement officer, and so it does make that difficult. So just asking for patience. You don't have to like us. You don't have to say we're doing a great job or whatever. We just ask that you just please be patient with us as we continue to make these moves that we're making in the city of Logansport.
Anything you'd like to add, Bryce?
Not that I can think of.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Thanks
for having
spending
me.
Your summer being part of everything that's going on.
It's been awesome. Thank you.
That'll do it for this first episode of the Logansport Re-Imagined podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Please follow Logansport Re-Imagined on Facebook. Visit the website, logansportreimagined.com, for updates on various projects happening around the community. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.